Hey guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to add wall jumping, dashing, and some lava to your platformer game. This might not sound like a lot, but we have a ton of coding to do, so let's get scratching. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is add wall jumping to our game, because as you can see, our game does not have wall jumping yet, which makes it pretty boring. Right now, when we touch the wall, you can't jump on it, so you just like fall down normally. So to add wall jumping, it's very simple. We're just gonna have to first go down here and drag a set rotation style to left right in the define movement physics for players script, and then we're gonna point in direction 90 when D is pressed, and point in direction negative 90 when A is pressed. So now you won't notice anything since our character is just a green block, but if you look down here to the direction, when you press D we're 90, but when we press A we're now negative 90. So this will help us determine which side we can wall jump. But just to make it like more obvious, I'm just gonna make some eyes for this guy right now. So now you can tell when he's moving left and right. So now he's looking this way and now he's looking that way. Okay, that's what we needed. And really quickly, I'm just gonna make this game compatible with both the WASD keys and the arrow keys. So to do that, just drag out an OR from the operators and put in right here in the jumping part, put if key W pressed or if key up arrow pressed, then it will jump. And then we can do the same thing for the D keys and the A key. So when key D pressed or key right arrow, since they do the same thing, and we can do the same thing right here if key A is pressed or if key left arrow is pressed. So now if you use your arrow controls, you can see you can move around with them as well, which is exactly what we wanted. So to add wall jumping, now that we have done the direction part, all we have to do is go and scroll all the way up here and go in the if touching platform, then part of the define move in steps script. We can also rename this from move in steps to collision / wall jumping, since we're gonna use this for collision and wall jumping, so that's just the most appropriate name for it. And we're gonna add two more inputs. We're gonna name one wall jump X force and a wall jump Y force. And we can click, if you don't have to click without screen refresh, but if you want, you can. Okay, now that we have those things created, now we have to go here to the if touching platform, and inside that we're going to drag out an if else statement, and in that statement we're going to put when key W or the up arrow is clicked. So this is what we have right now. So we're putting this inside the platform, so we can only wall jump when we're touching the platform. So we just can't wall jump when we're in the air, because then we have to be on a wall to wall jump, obviously. So if we're touching this and we press W key, then we're gonna set the Y velocity to the wall jump Y force. Just see what that does, right? Let's just see what that does. That's just making us jump as normal. Okay, that hasn't done anything yet. But okay, before we continue any further, let's just go into the collision and just set some values for these I'll set the wall jump x force to 7 and the wall jump y force to 7 as well. For now, you can change that to whatever you like, but for me, I'll just keep 7. So after we set the y velocity to wall jump y force, we're gonna drag out an if statement. So if the x velocity is 0, so if you're not moving, which means the x velocity is 0, then only we can wall jump. Then we're gonna check for which direction we're facing in. So just drag out another if else inside the if x velocity equals 0, and another if inside the if else. Sorry, inside the else, yeah, right here. So if the direction equals 90, then we're gonna set the x velocity to wall jump x force. But if the direction equals -90, we're gonna set the x velocity to wall jump x force times -1. And right here in this else part of this really big if else statement, just put set x velocity to 0. So if you test that out, let's just see what happens. Okay, it's not what we wanted to happen. Okay, it appears there's been a bug in my code, and I'm supposed to put the wall jump x force times -1 in the first one, and if direction equals 90, not if direction equals -90. For that, we can just put wall jump x force like the normal one. We don't have to multiply by -1. So if you see, that fixes our thing. Now we can wall jump, but as you can see, we're not going that high. So to fix that, we can set the wall jump y force to 15. So now we can perfectly wall jump. Okay, so now since we have already added wall jumping, the next thing that we could add to our game to spice it up a little bit is add a dash mechanism. So when we click a certain key, our player dashes really fast to left or right. That's pretty easy to code. To do that, just drag out an if statement right underneath the if AQ pressed, and just drag this down right here again. And if key space is clicked, then we need to check what direction we're facing first. So our player doesn't just go dashing off to just the one side only. It needs to dash to both sides. So if the direction equals 90, okay, if direction equals 90, then we're gonna set the x velocity to, let's say, 20. Let's just see how that goes, and you can change it if you want. Okay, so if space key is pressed, then if the direction equals 90, then set the x velocity to 20. Else, if the direction equals -90, set the x velocity to -20. So let's just see what that does right now. So if we just click space, you see our character dashes over to the left, but it's not really impactful. I'm barely even moving 5 inches. So we can change the x velocity. Let's just set it to 40 every time we do it. Or better yet, to make it even easier to change, let's just make a new input in the movement physics block. Let's add an input and name it dash velocity. Okay. All right. And scroll up here, and we're gonna set the dash velocity to 40. That's what I wanted to set. That's what I want, but you can change it to whatever you'd like. So, okay, now we can, instead of putting these numbers, we can just drag the dash velocity down here, but for the -91 we're gonna have to multiply it by -1. So we move in the negative way, which is like left. So now, as you can see, oh wait, my bad, I accidentally disconnected it. Okay, so now as you can see, our player can actually dash, and when he dashes it actually makes a difference. So we're actually moving a reasonable amount when we dash. So this is working just fine. Dashing mechanism is adding some more like interest to our game. But as you can see, we can just spam the space button and just dash everywhere, and our character is literally going crazy right now. Yeah, so we need to stop this. To do this, we need to create a cooldown, and we're gonna have to create a separate sprite for that. You don't have to draw anything in the sprite. It's just gonna be the sprite where we can add the cooldown for the character. So we're just gonna name it dash cool down timer. That's a really long name, but we can just name it that. And we're gonna have to create a new variable and make it for all sprites, and just put it in all capitals. Name it dash cool down. Okay. So when I receive reset, just set the dash cooldown to 0. So that means the dash cooldown is 0, meaning there's nothing we're waiting for, so we can dash. So to double check that, we're down here. If key space is pressed, or dash cooldown equals 0. Sorry, no. If key space is pressed and dash cooldown equals 0, not or. You have to do and, so it checks for both of these, and then it'll continue the script. So and dash cooldown equals 0. Okay, that's not gonna do anything yet. So we have to add, after we're done dashing, we have to set the dash cooldown to 5, which is 5. We're gonna make that 5 seconds, and we're gonna make a broadcast. We're gonna broadcast new message, and we're gonna call it cool down timer. Now we're gonna receive that in the dash cooldown timer sprite. So when I receive cooldown timer, first drag out a forever loop. Forever, okay. If the dash cooldown equals 5. If it equals 5, then only will it repeat until the dash cooldown equals 0. Repeat until dash cooldown equals 0. It's gonna wait 1 second, and it's gonna change dash cooldown by -1 until it equals 0. Then after it equals 0, then only we can dash. Now you might be wondering, why are we making a separate sprite for this? Why can't we just put it in this sprite? Well, if we put it in the player sprite, then it's gonna make our player wait 1 second every time, which means our player is just gonna keep floating in the air until the timer runs down, and we don't want that. So we have to create a separate sprite for that one. So now, right now, dash cooldown is 0, but if I dash, it's now 5, and I'm clicking the space button, and I can't dash because the cooldown is going down. It's 5 seconds. Okay, after 5 seconds is over, I can dash again. But now if you click it, you can't dash. There's a cooldown. So we can't break the game like we could last time. So it's a bit more controllable now. So yeah, that's what we wanted. Now that we have a cooldown, the next thing we can add is maybe a mobile button for it. So for those of you who play on mobile, we want to make this game like accessible to all, so not only for people that play on a computer. So we're going to be adding mobile controls, but the first one we're going to add, which is the easiest one, is going to be the dash cooldown button. To do that, we're just going to make a circle, and we're going to drag it right here. You can't see it right now, but that'll change later. So yeah, just make a circle for now. That's all we need. And drag a 1 green flag clicked forever. We're gonna just put a show there. we're gonna go to the front layer because we want to see this first. And we're gonna set the ghost effect to, let's just say 70 for now. Okay. So you really can't see it since our platform is also the same color. So to fix that, let's just make all of this red. Yeah, I know that looks really disgusting, but don't worry, we'll change that later. Okay, that's not. Now that we have that, you can position it at the position it is right now, because that's the position we want. And okay, actually, let's just put this right here, not in the forever loop. In the forever loop, we're gonna have an if-else statement. If, and inside the if, we can also put an if-then statement. Okay, we can drag out an and operator in the if-then, the first one, the if-else one, and we need to check if you're touching mouse pointer, if the sprite is touching the mouse pointer and mouse is down, which means I'm touching it and I'm clicking on the sprite. So if that is happening, it's gonna check if the dash cooldown equals 0. Because if it doesn't equal 0, then we don't want it to dash. But if it does equal 0, we're gonna set. Okay, we're gonna create a new variable now. We're gonna name it dash for all sprites in all caps. We're gonna set dash to 1, which basically means that we want a dash. But in the else part right here, just set dash to 0. And in the beginning right here, we can also put a set dash to 0 as well. So in the beginning of the game, we don't want to dash randomly. We only want to dash when we click on the button. Alright, so now before we can test, we need to go right here in our dash code, and we're gonna grab an or operator. So if space key pressed, or space key or dash equals 1 and dash cooldown equals 0, then it will do all this. So let's just see if that works. So I'm gonna just go up here right now, click this, and yes, it works. Every time we click this button, we will now dash, and the cooldown also works as well. Okay, so now we're gonna add some danger in our game. So by that I mean we're gonna add some lava. So when our player touches lava, which is like danger, then the player will die and respawn right here, or wherever the player spawn point is. So to do that, I'm gonna really quickly create a new level. You don't have to create the exact level I'm created, but you can create something somewhat similar to it. So I'm just gonna create my level now. Okay, I'm done creating my level. This is my level, but as you can see, my player is literally on the verge of dying. If he falls down there, he literally cannot get back up. Let's just, instead of making it go to 0, 0, let's just make it go right here, which is, yeah, okay. So just drag out a go to right here, and we're doing minus 202 and the Y to minus 57. So now if we click the green flag, our player is not on the verge of dying. Wait, let me just change it to minus 56. Alright, that's better. So it won't be stuck inside the platform. Alright, so yeah, now we've positioned our player properly. We can create a new sprite and name it lava. It actually helps if I make the platform a different color, since lava is probably going to be red. And you probably can't tell the difference. So I'll make it, yeah, that's even worse. Let me just change it to like, yeah, something like that. That's good. Now you can actually tell the difference. Okay, so what we're gonna do is let's just head into the lava spray and draw something red that looks like lava. Just make it a square for now, and just drag it right there. Yeah, okay, that's good. Put it in the center of the canvas. Yeah, okay, now once you've dragged it right there, you can now go to events, grab one green flag clicked, and go to, oh no, that's not what we want. Go to the position 43 for x 43 and y minus 186. Okay, so when the green flag is clicked, it goes there. So we're gonna have to set this to go to back layer because right now it's overlapping with the platform and we don't want that. Okay, yeah, now it's in the back layer, so that's what we want. And just purely for effect, to add like a cool effect, we can make this lava rise up and rise down. You don't have to do this, but it actually makes your game like pop out and look much better. So we can glide, get go to motion and get 2 of these glide blocks, and first just duplicate them. So the second one is going to be the original position that you see right here, the go to X and then go to Y. Set the second one to this position. For the first one, just change the Y by positive 10, so just add 10 to this. So I'll set mine to 176, which is 10 more. As you can see, the lava is slowly rising up, and once it reaches that certain height, it rises down, and then it keeps repeating this. It rises up and down. It just adds a better effect to our game and just makes it look more cool. So the next thing to add is when our player falls into the lava, or just like falls down here in general, you need to make the player like dive and like respawn back here. So to do that, we can create a new custom block, and let's just name it die/reposition. And inside of the start game, we're always gonna run the die/reposition, but we're not always gonna die. I'll just show you what I mean. So inside the die/reposition, we're gonna put an if statement. So if you're touching the lava or we're touching or our Y position is equal to -133, we're gonna go back to our original position, which is right here. So if we run that, let's just see what happens. We're gonna go back right here, and just in case, let's just set the dash cooldown, everything's 0 every time we die. So now once you touch this, we're gonna instantly die. Okay, yeah, that's what we wanted. But as you can see, there's one bug. If we dash and we fall into the lava, you can see that we dash and then our cooldown is going down. It starts from 5 and starts going down. But when our cooldown is running and we go into the lava or die, you can see our cooldown is now heading into the negatives, which is not what we want. So now it's just going to keep going down and down. This is a bug that I've seen occurring, but thankfully I know a way to fix it, and it's not that hard. So to do it, we can just create a new broadcast, in the die/reposition. We're gonna name the broadcast stop cooldown timer. So we're gonna go in the dash cooldown timer sprite, and when we receive the stop cooldown timer, we're gonna just not stop all, but stop other scripts in the sprite. We don't want to stop this script. We want to stop other scripts. So what this is gonna do is every time my player dies, it keeps it thinks the cooldown is still at 5, and it keeps subtracting down and down and down, and eventually gets into the negative. So just to stop that, we're gonna broadcast the stop cooldown timer, which stops this other scripts in the sprite. And when it says other scripts, it's literally just this script, and so our player won't just make the dash cooldown go into the negative. So if we test that, we are now in our cooldown and we jump in the lava. As you can see, our dash cooldown stays at 0, and it does not go into the negatives like it was going in before. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like and sub, and stay tuned for part 3.